Recorded August 12th, 2024. Good afternoon, Brody. How you doing?
Good afternoon, Edward. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I am doing excellent. Fabulous, as they would say. I have lights, it's just over my head, stars and stuff like that, man. Oh, man. Please tell me it's much cooler where you are than it is here in Georgia.
Probably. Yeah. I don't know how not cool it is where you are, but yeah, probably cooler here.
It's hot outside. You can see the birds are not even flying. They're just walking. Like, let me get Ray. Look at her. She's here now. She says, brute force your way to your destiny. Yep. Sounds like a sci-fi plot right there. Hello, Ray. How are you doing? She can't hear me.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, there you go. A little bit of choppy for your internet, but it's workable.
Oh no, is the connection still not? Is it?
You're about half a second behind what you're trying to parlay, but
okay.
We'll go ahead.
Technology is not cooperating, which I find extremely ironic.
Did you try restarting your computer?
Did the computer try restarting her? See, nobody ever looks at it from the other side. Always blame it on the computer. So, yep. Brody, tell me. I mean, Mondays are sort of crazy because you have to remember what you did last week, that you didn't blow through with beer and booze over the weekend to remember to report on Monday. But I know that you being the stalwart professional that you are, what did you do interesting last week?
I am waiting for a few engagements to kick off. They're late starting, so I've been keeping busy staying abreast of current technologies and solutions. Some community work with our worldwide security community, some mentoring. Richard Diver has a series, Guardians of AI, internally that we're working through on behalf of his book. And yeah, I just kind of want these projects to start because, a little antsy, but I'm sure they'll start soon. And then I will regret asking for them to start soon because I will have lost all the free time I have. So, but other than that, things are going well, man.
Yeah, good. Not project-based like you are. You're a consultant. I don't know what I do, but it's not quite traction yet. I'm getting new accounts, having to go back and reestablish a relationship with people I haven't talked to. Saw some people that I hadn't talked to. It was good to see. A buddy of mine got hired on as an M1 for TSs at Microsoft. That was good to see him. And shout out to you, Jay. Good seeing you again. I'm really diving down in Copilot for security. I mean, not hobbyish now, but part of my job now, and doing that. I got some good show notes. So I'm not as good as Rod. For everybody, Rod's out sick today, so we'll be a little bit lacking on the show notes. But I have some good stuff that came across. I'll try to put them in. One of them was in particular, I think it was the Entra team may have announced this, but they have just released a new adversary in the middle detection and auto response, which is pretty cool. We went GA today, and Morel, who's been on the show, who's like our Entra genius, he co-hosts that not co-host. Well, he puts it on his website of all the announcements around 365, and I figured out a way that you can filter on security. So actually pretty cool. That I think they made something that I saw Copilot for security with the MTDI, Microsoft Defender for Threat Intelligence. That was pretty cool. Not new, but I really got to see it at work. That was cool. Really going into understanding when you look at SCUs inside, Copilot for security, it's really just the top block. There's some sub things up under there, and Rod's been sort of schooling me up on that, and I'm like, I didn't know it worked that way. Plus, I have it running in my lab now. Oh yeah, I can go ahead and beat up on it, right? We need to do something called Copilot billing proxy attack, meaning I use the SCUs to bill your tenant. We're gonna look at it. We'll call it SCU burn. We'll do that. Ray, what have you been up to, Ray?
What have I been up to? Let's see. self-funded hacker summer camp, which was such a much needed relief from the daily grind. I got to see folks I work with. I got to see folks I used to work with, made new friends, learned so much amazingly cool stuff. It was an exceptional experience. I mean, the kick-ass things that people are doing and then educating others on is just phenomenal. So it spanned Black Hat, B-Sides Las Vegas, and DEF CON. And this is my vacation, so I know people might judge me and be like, "Oh, you're like ultra nerdy. You should probably just go to a beach and have a nice drink with an umbrella in it." But for me, it is well worth it. I know not everybody is able to indulge in that way, but it was such a wonderful learning experience. It was wonderful to have the community building aspect to it, and to meet folks who are just so genuinely passionate and so talented and approachable. Just is extraordinary. So I'm also happy to be back. I have missed both of you, and I'm sending my well wishes to Rod. But it was such an amazing experience, and I hope we can maybe do our show there next year. I think that might be something to explore.
It's a good time of the year to break out and go do it. They do DEF CON at the same time Black Hat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just across the way.
Yeah,
One side of town, you do that. And then you also said they had a B-Sides at the same time?
Yep.
So you did B-Sides there, attended Black Hat. Did you go to DEF CON at all?
No, I went to DEF CON. I did not present at B-Sides. By the time the submission for B-Sides Las Vegas came around, I was burnt out from all the other submissions for B-Sides. But it was well worth the experience, just like being in the audience and learning and making new friends. So again, highly nerdy experience, but it was wonderful. And obviously it's professional as well. But definitely you can nerd out, be your geeky self, get really deep technically, but also just really appreciate the passion with which folks are sharing their insights and learning. So
yeah, of the two, I won't put B-Sides in there, but of the two, DEF CON's my favorite. From the last time I went to each of them at least 3 times. This is a while back, but for some reason, I always like DEF CON better. Black Hat is awesome, especially with some of the stuff. If you can get to the places where they show you, hey, let me show you. When someone puts you aside, let me show you something.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, is that even? Whoa, did you just do that type of stuff, right? So, well, we're not going to keep our guests in the green room. Bro, did you have anything else you want to share with us, man?
I'm all good, folks.
It's all good. Brody right now would rather be jumping out of a helicopter, skiing, and playing golf at the same time. He's probably done it.
That sounds like a good time.
But one other thing, how's the family, Brody?
We're doing great. My wife and daughter are just out of town temporarily today in the mountains, so they'll be back a little later. And yeah, things are really good, Edward. Thanks for asking.
You got that new daddy delay. Ask your question, the fog, and then he gives you, "I'm doing okay, Edward."
I actually had a nap before this episode, but the alarm didn't go off, so I woke up like 5 minutes before. I'm like, oh, boy.
Still groggy. Yeah, he's a rookie, Ray. Tell him to join the club. We've been doing this for a while, so I get it. But hey, let's get our guest in. Ray, I believe that this particular guest is a invitee. I'm sorry, something kicked you off the stage. I didn't do it. All right, let's go try it again. I believe that this guest is an invitee of yours, Ray. Would you like to introduce her? I'm going to go ahead and bring her in.
Yep.
Hey, it's Ange. Welcome to the show.
Hey everyone.
Hello.
It's awesome to be here.
Hey, Ange.
Hey, Ray.
So, Ray, whom did you bribe, threaten, trick to get on the show? I'm trying to figure out what was the motivation, do that. So, Ray, do the honors.
Yeah, no, I've been a big fan, longtime stalker of Ange in a very HR approved way. Okay. I hesitate to say social media influencer because that has like a cheesy connotation to it, but I do find Ange quite inspirational. There are different dimensions of your lived experience that you share so freely, and you empower others with your personal truths and invite our cyber community to show up as our honest selves, and you advocate in such an incredibly impressive way. So I will create the space for you to tell us who you are, what you do, and how you got to doing what you do. And we can start with like the technical aspects, but I know again, you have some other dimensions to who you are and how you show up that I think is important for us to hear about and to participate in that dialogue.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ray. And Edward and Brody, thank you both so much for making space. I mean, things like this are so important to do. And I know I'm not known to everyone here. So thank you for the invitation. So I'm a pen tester at TCM Security. I started my career at 15 years old. So I'm about 20 something years into a career at this point. My day-to-day life is internal and external penetration tests. I actually just got back from a physical pen test, which was incredible. We definitely did some work that I'm super proud of that other firms did not do, which is super cool to do. I think I also run a Discord server. A couple of years ago, I saw a space for kind of making a space that was just free and easy come and go for women, queer people, people of diverse backgrounds, cis, straight white men, just put everybody in the same place together where we wouldn't assume things about each other. And so the server is about 1,000 people large now, which is very cool to see. It's around red teaming and pen testing, or at least it was initially. Now it's just kind of everything. And aside from that, we've also got a scholarship fund. So my wife and I started a scholarship. And we're actually going through recipients right now. So we'll get to choose 4 $1,000 scholarships for people who are looking to come into cyber. That's a little bit about me.
That's a pretty impressive pitch line in the elevator. I'm buying whatever you're selling. I'm buying. I'll go ahead and make Series A round funding.
Yeah.
For 3 easy payments of $19.99. You can call me Anne. Edward. Yeah.
All right. Pen testing. A lot of people say they're pen testers, but that's a skill. You just can't see it now because it's not just that I'm a pen tester. I break into stuff. I think when you say you're a pen tester, you're a sysadmin, you are a developer, you are a lot of things, right? To be able to do it, which is why I didn't last long in that particular avenue. I just was not good at code, recognizing code, deficient code especially, right? Gotta have a good mindset. What made you want to pen test? How'd you do that? Well, this show us about how you got to where you are now. So let's how you get there.
Absolutely. So I worked at Apple retail for 6 years, and while I was there, I went through. I had found out that I had like a birth defect that I needed brain surgery for. So I had this pre-brain surgery moment and post-brain surgery moment at Apple retail. On the other side of it, I realized that my migraines were gone and my quality of life was like 100% different, and went back to school. I met somebody that encouraged me to come into cyber, and she said, "You'd be good here." And so I just kind of took her word for it. It was, leap of faith moment. And so I did that. And the first role that I landed into was a forensics and incident response role. And so I did DFIR for 4 years, knowing at about 6 months in that I was not interested in doing 60, 70, 80 hour weeks. But I took the time, I did it, and then I burned out. So I quit, had a bunch of cash saved up. So I just took some time down. And then when this opportunity came up at TCM Security, I couldn't say yes fast enough. I started out as, weirdly enough, I just started off like contracting on their help desk for $20 an hour, right? Because we pay everyone regardless where you live in the world, $20 an hour. So I did that for a couple months, and then I think it was really obvious very fast that I was wanting to do more. So the owner, Heath, he made space for me on the team for a pen tester spot. And so I've been doing that I just got promoted. So I've been doing that for 8 months now, which is really great. Yep.
Yeah,
so background in forensics and IT. I mean, I've done the help desk thing. I've done, I've fixed my mom's printer, like stuff like that. Right. So eventually led to this.
Yeah. It was very hard for you to hide your skills. Evidently, they kept
Passion.
looking at the ticket queue, and you were doing 200 tickets a day, and everybody else was doing 10. They're like, who is this person? You know, she's a plant.
So because we're called TCM, right? People will email in sometimes thinking that we're TCM, the television network, like
Turner Classic.
TCM, the Turner Classic Movies.
Yeah.
And so apparently leadership used to joke around because I would respond to those people and just help them find, you know, the cartoon that they wanted. I would find it for them on YouTube instead, and you know, the things. So maybe that's what got me promoted. I'm not too sure.
It's the service. The service.
Yeah.
You're absolutely living up to the theme of this show. That's not the way I would have thought I should get promoted.
Yeah.
Hey, let me show you what's on Cartoon Network. Right, do that.
Right.
Well, there's two.
It might have been a little bit more.
No, we got the Ticket Slayer theme, right? So you're in it to win it, right? You're trying to knock it out. Something comes into your queue, you're like, it's done. I already got it. And then it's the genuine interest to help other people. Like whether it's actually within your technical scope, or if it's just like they're in a bind and they really want to find that old that old vintage flick. You're like, don't worry, I got you.
I got this,
that drive to be of service. I think that is spot on.
It probably didn't hurt that I'd been studying to be a pen tester for a couple years. That probably helped a little bit.
Nothing to do with it. Yeah.
Nothing at all.
Now, that's a good segue. You always hear about people who are pen testers, but you just deliberately say, I studied to be a pen tester. How do you study to be a pen tester? Because people will tell you what they are doing, but like, how did you get to that point where you could say, I'm a pen tester? You just don't get to declare. What did you study?
So TCM actually is part educational company and part consulting. And so they've got an entire catalog of courses. And so I had gone through the basic courses there. I'd taken the OSINT course and, done some fun stuff. But also I followed a methodology. I was on TryHackMe and Hack the Box and Burp Suite, the Portswigger Academy. And I really just created my own study plan. I know that I learn best when I'm doing the thing. And so I had to really be careful to kind of attach myself to certain organizations that were making training that gave me hands-on. And so that's what I did. And I was just very intentional about it. I knew that in order to become, let's say a pen tester that does external, I would need to understand how to do OSINT. I would need to understand how to run Nessus scans or whatnot. So yeah, just sort of took it piece by piece. And I try to still make those things. I have a web app. What I really need to focus on is web app pen testing at this point. And so I have a partial study plan out on GitHub that just starts to tear that down. Brute forcing my life has been not the best. I've had to be a little bit more careful.
I go all in. Yeah.
And can you share a particularly challenging or memorable case you worked in forensics or penetration testing? Like what made it stand out, and what are the takeaways you want to share with us?
Yeah. So it'll take us down like a little sad path for a moment. But the last thing that I knew, the reason that I had to leave forensics is that I got on a call with a woman who was in her 70s, and she had worked for a company for about 35 years, 40 years, something like that. And she had accidentally clicked a link. Her account got hacked. And she was the one that was responsible for like a $300,000 theft of funds through an email compromise. And they actually didn't have insurance. So she had called us and they didn't have cyber insurance. I was working for a company that was purchased by a cyber insurance company. And that was like the last call on a Friday. So I hung the call up and I basically was like, I've got to go. Like I've got to do something else because I can't take these stories with me too much longer. And actually, Edward, that goes back to why I'm here. I want to try to prevent this stuff from happening. I got sick of it for 4 years. I got sick of seeing it happen. And so if I can prevent it, absolutely.
Yeah, we get so caught up into the big hacks. Like I got told today, you're eligible for a class action lawsuit against Cash App because I didn't realize they had and I thought it was phishing. So I go to a computer and I'm like, oh, this is real. right?
Yeah.
So I didn't realize they had a breach, and then you just saw a couple more that have been announced. You're right, but we keep forgetting the humanity of the people who are sitting at home who are falling prey to these phone scams, these things, and it's generally those who are not able to protect themselves. Generally those who are not technology savvy due to generational, things. I'm older, right, and stuff like that. And plus, the stuff looks good. I mean, just some of the stuff that comes across looks good, but it basically to me goes down to someone not being able to pick up the phone to call someone else like you or me or Brody or Ray to say, "Hey, I got this in the mail. Is this real?" No, mom, send this over to me. Let me take a look or leave it alone. It's not real.
Yep.
I know it's not, right? So that's a whole different conversation on how to protect the
It
average
is.
consumer, how to do the
Yeah.
consumer. I like your, if you have anything that you want to share with us around your study thing, if it's shareable, I'm sure some of us would like to know what you're consuming to stay up on your stuff. So really, really cool. Pen testers, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Pen testers think different,
Yeah. You got to a little bit.
a little bit. All right.
Licketh is one of the guys on our support desk. He's one of the most valuable dudes that trained me, I think.
Okay.
He was the one that you just posted up on the screen.
Brody's pretty good himself, ain't you, Brody? Brody's part of
And what was
Yeah.
what was that name?
Oh, Licketh, one of the people that just you put up on the screen. He's a part of our help desk. Yeah.
So so shout out to Licketh. You build community. You build community, and you build up the folks that have trained you up, that have inspired you. Can you share more about how important that is to you? How you incorporate that into like the way of Ange, right?
Yeah. I mean, all right. So my I've got 2 top values. And I think about it every year. I put it on my calendar. I look at them again. There's a list from Brene Brown where she kind of takes you through all the values, right? And the one that never leaves is gratitude. And I think that gratitude is, for me, it's a way to just sort of reset myself, stay humble, continue to do the right thing, the ethical thing. And so it's no more complicated than that. Everything that I do is just kind of steps back to gratitude. And so when I'm grateful for somebody, for something, you guys, for instance, right? I want to make sure that I'm sharing that out because I think that sets a tone for how our career ends. Sometimes I think about like, what do I want my retirement party to look like? Because at one point I want to retire and it's going to be hopefully hundreds of people hanging out with me in like, Cozumel or something like that.
Nice. Sign me up, please. I will be.
I'll send y'all invites.
Yeah, you don't have to have one retirement. Let's have one once a year.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Pre-game the retirement.
Pre-game.
I'm into that.
Pre-game. Yeah. So I mean, that's really it. I think for me, community raised me. I've actually had a lot of men go out of their way to bring me into this space. And so I know that I'm not sure if it was you or if it was someone else that was commenting on something that I posted for Men's Mental Health Month, but just being able to do that back and say that back and just kind of bring together this community is honestly, it's a delight and it makes me stay in the game too. There's a lot of things about anti-burnout and gratitude. Those things go hand in hand. So yeah, that's a little pro tip.
The burnout is a real thing. I think a lot of times early on before self-healing, mental health acknowledgement, employers thought that was an out. They didn't really realize it because they just thought, well, you have a job. It can't be that demanding. You work with your brain, not your back. And then there was a period where people were like, I quit.
Yeah.
What do you mean you quit? I'm done. And this came from executives all the way down to the worker bees, like, no more of this. I have no safe space to be able to recover, and you've drained my emotional account, right? And I became really cognizant of that years ago myself, right? If you get to the point where you got to quit, you were at that point a long time ago, and you should have stopped there. Yeah. And
there's no pill, there's no quick fix, there's no vacation that you can take that fixes it. And so the way to fight burnout is to stay consistent with doing the good things that are good for your brain. Yeah. That's it,
And the fight of the burnout can actually occur within your own job. Sometimes when you find pleasure in the thing that you're doing, when it's not the rat race, you can alleviate some of the burnout in your job, as long as it makes you feel good at the end of the day, right?
Right.
Every day won't be your day, but every day has a chance to be your day, which is one of the things.
Yep.
Back to I almost saw the enamored with the pen testing thing. Ask you one more question about that.
Sure.
When you, and I'm sorry if it's noisy around me. I'm in a shared space today. When you go through this particular track in your career, you have to be a little bit vendor agnostic, right? But this seems like Black Hat is where they beat on certain vendors, right? How do you, give me one of your favorite things or tools to do? Like, since you worked at Apple for, I think you said 8 years, it's the thing that you use a Mac, or did you defect away from the Mac?
No, I mean, am I using a Mac right now? Totally. But I've got a little Windows machine sitting here too. And I use Kali all the time, right?
Oh,
So
cool.
no, someone asked me this. I did a stream on for TCM, and someone asked me what my favorite tool was, and I said Google. I can find anything. I can find anything I need as long as I know how to look for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, Google is the most powerful tool on the internet. And it's something that I could not do if it did not exist. Like, I could not do my job if Google didn't exist.
And Google has a very specific search syntax. There's a language.
They
I
do.
bought the book,
They
and
do.
you go through it, and like, you can find this. You're right. But is Google more powerful than Copilot?
Ooh, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to have a Copilot lesson. Someone might have to show me a couple things.
Put them in the room. I think Google's getting away from the search engine, us against that. What is theirs? Gemini?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got to say, I'm pretty frustrated by the AI stuff that they're injecting in. I don't find it so helpful. So I'm not sure what they're doing with the search stuff with AI, but it needs some work. And I would say that to Google's face. So
I love that you said it. And I have a feeling you would say it to anybody's face.
I would say it to anybody's face.
Have you had an opportunity to work on any platform with the Microsoft Copilot for Security stack involved? Like, have you pen tested against systems where the blue team was using that capability, or have you seen that capability in part of your role?
Not yet, but when I did forensics, it was about 95% Microsoft 365 because my team was really focused on email and cloud security. So I've been very fortunate to learn a ton of PowerShell, really fortunate to be able to learn a lot. So I've got a little Microsoft certification sitting around.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Y'all's certs are great. They are. I mean, I love them.
They're becoming more practical. Big shout out, Frank. Keep writing certs. Yeah, they're becoming more practical rather than making a bunch of paper tigers like they used to do back in the day. You passed the cert, it was nothing. But now they're Microsoft's doing it. SANS is doing it. What's the term?
Like gamified, kind of.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
So you need to do it.
It's such a hot topic in terms of, like, search are not going to get you the job, and any job requisition that requires search is BS. What's your hot take, Ange? What do you think? You think certs have a place in the job hunt journey?
No, I think they've got a place. And, here in the pen testing world, like, there's a kind of a status thing that people try to claim with certifications. I mean, and I'm a certification author myself. I did the practical junior OSINT researcher cert here for TCM. So shout out to that. I'm super proud of that. So I think there is a spot. I do think certifications, especially when they're practical, show they show the person hiring you that you know how to physically do the job, right? Mm-hmm. And so, me to you, if it's question and answer, I don't know about all that. Right. But I do think that there's a good spot for certs there. Yeah, for sure.
In a more holistic lens, it's not because, the pushback is like, well, you need hands-on experience, but often, especially if you're transitioning from one career to the next, you need something to get your foot in the door. And without prior experiences, hey, this vouches for me. Like, I have the knowledge enough to be trusted with hands-on experience. And then from there you can build, right? Exactly. So I totally agree with you. It's not, will certs replace hands-on experience? It needs to be, within the context, and they have their place and they are quite powerful. for good reason, and it could be to facilitate folks who are, maybe changing careers, or they didn't necessarily have an opportunity that other individuals had. So I get it.
And
Absolutely.
I think on a personal level, some people are really driven by reward-based situation, right? And so I think on one side, it does look good. Certain certifications look good on a resume, but then on the other side, for our mental health, for, sort of the drive to kind of keep doing something more. For some people, certifications are super important.
Tangible.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're tangible. Yeah, for me, no, I do not put me in front of a certification. Just, put me in a room for 48 hours and let me outwork myself, right? But no, don't make me do a certification.
And it's made for certain individuals who like a sort of structured learning path, right? And then there's culmination in the end, and there's a prize, right?
Right.
For those who don't have the ability to put together a structured learning path outside of something, the cert sort of gives you hey, go do these things, and
Absolutely.
you at the end you can sit and write the exam, right? So, but and a lot of the certs are getting more value because they're starting to have a hands-on component.
Right.
Microsoft, all of these things are saying, hey, the last 5 questions are going to be this, and they spin up an environment,
Mhm.
and it's point-based. You have problem, solution, multiple ways to get there. The closer you get a point. So it's not a
Right.
yes or no. I like that, right? Because in the real world, the cert can't measure that. If I have a problem I cannot fix around identity or governance, I'm going to pick up the phone and call Brody.
Yeah.
How about you put that in the cert?
That's real
What
life,
did you do?
right? Yeah, I'm gonna call Brody. That's exactly what in real life. I'm gonna pick up the phone for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
Absolutely.
Brody.
Or use Google or any. My wife's talked me off the ledge a couple times with certs because I hate writing them. I get test anxiety.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is stupid. This one question is stupid. Like, no, this would never happen. I would just look it up quick. She's like, you just got to do it. You just got to attack the test and then move on. And she's like, I know, I get it. And I'm like, yeah. You'd ask a friend or love it.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I really respect TCM security where I work at. None of our certifications are question and answer. They're all practical.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I actually failed our kind of gold standard cert very publicly before I was brought into TCM security. But it was 5 days and then of the practical and then 2 days of report writing. And it's not proctored. So you really just have to figure it out on your own. You've got to do the actual work.
Was it the offensive security one?
It's offensive security. Yes, sir. Yep. Yeah. I got in. I just ran out of time. If I had 3 weeks, it would have been no problem.
That exam ranks as one of they're proud of the failure rate. That's what it is. They're proud of that failure rate.
I mean, now that I have my own certification, I'm kind of proud of my failure rates too, which sounds a little bad, but it does mean that it's challenging, which is a good thing, right? Yeah.
How do you manage to own your failures and successes in equal measure? And do you realize how important and powerful that is for folks who might be perusing your content, might be stalking in an HR approved way, might be fans behind the scenes, right? How do you manage to do that? And do you get how impactful it is for the community to have that available to them?
Yeah. And Ray, you're breaking up a little bit, so I'm going to restate so I don't miss anything.
Yeah.
But almost how do I do that publicly, or how do I? Yeah. Okay. I think failure is incredibly important, and more than that, we celebrate all wins, but I think you should celebrate all failures too, because I think that nothing better comes out of. Everyone loves a comeback story. Everyone loves to see, the person kind of come back to the thing and knock it out of the park. And so for me, I don't think about it consciously in terms of content or anything like that. I more just want to tell people that I fail things as well. I don't know why. I think people do fail, and I fail too. And so I want to make sure that I get that out in the world.
Just bona fide. You're just legit. This is what it is. It's not glossy. You're not trying to be perfect. You're just showing up as a human being, and the community needs more of that, because if we talk about burnout, when we talk about mental health, that is a make or break for folks. Striving for perfectionism, striving for a sense of like being impeccable in a unachievable, unrealistic way, that is a recipe, you know, setting yourself up for doom. And I think you not pushing this content, but just sharing who you are is incredibly powerful. I know that I've felt better reading your messages. It seems like you're writing specifically to me, and I'm like, oh my God, thank you very much for this message. But the fact that it's so relatable, and it inspired me to be more open with my journey, to just kind of, you know, let our freak flags fly, and like it makes a difference just showing up as a human with flaws and blemishes, and also celebrating our achievements, being vocal about, hey, I failed this thing, but here's this other thing, or here's my comeback story, right? Redemption is the most human of journeys. And you're right, people love to celebrate that, because that is what it means. It's the most relatable. Like everybody, you know, is going to have setbacks, but they're going to have bigger comebacks, and they just need to believe that there is a better experience waiting for them tomorrow and the next day. It'll always get better.
Yeah.
You know, the thing about longevity in this industry is being staying constant in education. It is, you know, continuing forward, and so for me, you know, I'm not pretending that I'm going to be able to know everything. You know, certainly I'm continuing to learn. So part of that's failing, and part of that is just making sure that you're surrounding yourself with a community of people that are also okay with you failing, and can help you, you know, kind of come back from that. So that, I know that touches back to the other question, but that's really important too.
Yeah, and failure is subjective. I have a different take on it. I don't think you could ever fail unless you are unwilling to try, or someone's not going to give you the opportunity to try again, right?
Right.
Then you've introduced something that you can control versus something you can't, right? But as I tell people, most of the things you learn in life is through pain. Pain's a good teacher, right?
Yeah.
I don't learn very much from winning. You learn a lot from losing, if you're willing to listen. Yeah, because everybody's singing your praises when you win. You know, when you lose, you know, come tell me how I could have done better. Don't give me a woe is me, and we'll go with it from there, right? It's really good.
One of my really old passwords, we're talking I was 18 years old, was a variation of the word struggle. And it's just because I was, you know, young, not making a lot of money, living on my own at a certain point. And I don't know, I was password reuse struggle everywhere that I possibly could, you know, so that I could remember to just keep at it, right? Probably could have had a different password that was a little bit longer and stronger. But you know, that one was real easy to type. So
I have a similar password I've been using for 25 years. It sort of relates to it like that, and the variations of it.
What is
it's
it?
It's nowhere anymore. So no one try to hack me, please. But you know,
you won't figure mine out either. You know, my wife asked, "What's this about?" She go, "Oh, life's that bad." And I was like, "Absolutely." We'll keep it right as a reminder.
I'm more of a summer 2024 kind of guy, personally.
Yeah, is that what it is?
We actually got in with summer 2024 on a pen test recently. It did have an exclamation point, you know, but just a heads up, if that's your password, change it.
Yeah, there you go. Dictionary tags still work. Add them together. So we try to stay away from this, and you sort of mentioned this a little bit, but AI is eating up all the air in the room, right? And so within your particular industry, is it affecting you? I know Brody asked the question, had you come up against something that had Copilot for security, but has AI, is it making your particular skill in your profession harder, making it better, or is it convoluting the waters with AI?
For me, AI is only been a benefit so far for my own personal self and my career. because I can now code a little bit better and I can figure out what my issues are. But I do know that it's a whole problem for the forensics side.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of attempting the forensics 508, and I learned a lot in that course, that
Yeah.
SAN course, right? And I'm like, we're doomed. You cannot stop these adversaries, right? We're doomed. They're coming in, but
Yeah.
good stuff to be able to do it. Yeah, I think that the marketing part of AI is starting to die down, and now the reality of it really is impactful, right?
Yeah.
The fact that my wife is using it all the time. Like, let me show you what I did. I'm like, what? What do you know? She's all in it now, using both. She's using Chat GPT to check Copilot. She pits them against each other all the time to be able to see
Yeah.
what's coming in. Real good stuff, though. I just want to see people in the field, especially with yours, is very much hand on and brain on how this thing, if you use it in your line. I think that AI as a pen tester, I don't think would be very effective. Well, you can tell me if I'm wrong because it's not creative. It can go look at CVEs and stuff.
Every week we get the question, because our company does streams every week, right? And
Mhm.
every week it is, is AI going to take pen testing like that away? Is it going to take the job? And I'm like, absolutely not. Because at every single turn where, we're going to be doing that, where we're going to be like, using AI for good, people are going to be using AI for bad. So I think if anything, it's just going to make a lot of these attacks more complex, especially when it comes to social engineering. And so I don't think that it's going to be taking our jobs anytime soon. And even so, I mean, even some of the things that I just found for a client of ours this week, they've had pen tests regularly at least since 2016, 2015. And I'm out there finding things that no other firm has found, right? So, it's not only is pen testing a creative field, but it is so catered or kind of individual to the tester that's doing it themselves, right? And so I don't think we're going to get there. I mean, there's a lot of really cool tools, and I think especially in the world of OSINT, there's a lot of automation and AI that could do good for OSINT research. But no, I mean, it'll be a while. But I do think that AI is ultimately, I mean, I'm not one of those people that's like doom and gloom and super concerned about it, at least at this point. It's all about how we use it, right?
I'd love to see someone develop AI in a box. Whereas if you are an incident responder or deeper, I can come in and drop in a forensics AI intelligence bot and let it go. But there's so many constraints, right? You got to have access to, the historical logging and knowledge that was there. So you may have to have some type of external connect to be able to do it. But that's when it's really good when you can put it in. But the pen test too, you may find one of your coworkers is just a bot that's sitting right here, and you start something and you send it off to the
Brody?
bot. Brody's
Are you
the bot.
AI, Brody?
If
Are you
we
trying to tell
can't
me that Brody's AI?
does it matter? It's fine. It's fine.
Greatest AI you've ever seen, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Best
You're
AI,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
we get toward the backside of the show. Tell me, Brody asked a challenging question, and you told me about another question when you had to help a person that had fell victim to a very large financial scam. But how about something fun? What was something
yeah.
fun in your job? Because sometimes people think, especially what you do, is doom and gloom. I'm here to look how bad you are, or oh, I'm here because something bad has happened. Give me a fun thing that you've done.
I do fun stuff every week now. So it's a little bit hard. I mean, the pen testing side is it's the coolest thing that I think I've ever done as a job. This week, the coolest thing that we've done is, honestly, is we got domain admin on someone, which was great. We were able to download all the passwords from the entire environment. So that's always a good, fun thing to do. And last week it was legitimately getting to watch people in a corporate office because I guessed a password on some cameras. So I just watched the janitorial staff move around and, just all that good, fun stuff there. So
ready for the social engineering attack. Went out and got the uniform like the janitor and everything. Figured out the schedule. Show up. Put a UPS or a FedEx package on. Nobody will stop you at the door. They'll let you go. Get
I
your
will
fake
say,
box.
the physical pen test we just did, Edward, that's probably the coolest, the most fun thing I've done in a long time. The client of ours had multiple other physical pen tests. Their first one was like several $100,000. They didn't find anything of use. The last one that they had was a really big name firm, said that they were impenetrable. Not true. And so we were able to get in a multitude of ways, found keys, did this and that. So physical pen tests are, now that I've done one, I'm like, all right, cool. I'll just go spend a couple $1,000s on training. That's no big deal. I'm going to go do more.
Yeah. Physical pen testing is yeah.
What
If I can plug into your network stat, you got problems.
You got a problem, a whole problem. Yeah. I was let in because and I'm not kidding. I was carrying like an under the door tool. I had my like backpack full of goodies and other things. And it was 6 o'clock at night or something like that. And I walked up to the back door thinking I was just going to get in. My buddy was going to come let me in. And this gentleman opens the door and he and I look at each other like, what? What? Who are you? And he just opens the door wide for me. And I was like, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a great night. So yeah, it was a good let in the building.
Inviting the threat into that's always great, where you get them to usher you in. Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I don't think I look so threatening, so maybe that's part of why I was just, the door was held open.
It's like the Ocean 11 thing. Yeah, like you belong there. Nobody will question you. Right?
That's right.
You didn't panic. You didn't turn around and run off. You were like, oh, thank you so much for letting me in. You came to work early. You are an overachiever, hard worker.
Exactly. Yeah.
They would nail Brody. They know he's none of those things, so they'd have got him right away.
I think I would be a great pen tester, personally.
I think
a physical pen tester. Just like social engineering side. Yeah.
Why is that, Brody?
Because I can talk to anybody. I can get into anything.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
And I remember you made the post. It was before you were actually on site. You're like, holy cannoli, I'm going to be able to do physical pen testing. I can't believe this is my life. What was so exciting to you? Like, did you feel you're entering a new chapter? Like you were progressing as a more seasoned cyber practitioner? Yep. Like, what was it about that moment that was so powerful for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, so I had just transitioned from a junior pen testing role into offensive security engineer role. And so for me, it was just knowing that the company that I'm with had the faith that they would send me offsite to try to do something that is rather complex. But in talking with, leadership there, it was basically like, you are going to be one of the best that we could send. And so just knowing that there's a lot of faith and encouragement, and getting to do something that people really fight to do. I mean, there's not a lot of pen testers out there that have done a physical, much less one within their first year. So like, although I'm not a braggart, like I will take that as some bragging rights. Like I've gotten to do a physical pen test. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of where it stops and starts, is being able to just be like, yeah, I've done it. And, I used to work retail. I used to work food service. It was, gosh, y'all, it was like 6 or 7 years ago that I was stuck to 10-minute breaks on 8-hour shifts, right? So getting to go out to a different city and do all this is just, it feels like a different world.
Freedom.
Yeah.
You chose the right profession. Some professions are geared for certain individuals and personalities and learning ways. It seemed like this was made for you, and you have fun doing it. And I like you being on the show. My Rolodex just keeps increasing with all the smart people, so I can let me just call Angie real quick. You got a minute? Yeah. Look at this. Room.
Yeah. Hit me up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. We'll do that. We'll add you to our APT. We're known as Steel Team 6 here. So
perfect.
Yeah, we're pretty good here ourselves. I don't know about Ray. She has morals.
How about you?
What was that? I have morals and scruples?
Scruples, yes. Yeah, not like me.
Only every other day. It's fine. It just depends,
Do it that way. Oh, well, and since I think we're show friends now, I can use your short name.
Absolutely, please.
anything you want to close the show out with? Any words of wisdom? You've given some, but we'll take some more. Unless there's a charge.
No, there's no fee. So I got the show overview notes and I looked over the questions, and I think the one question that I was excited to answer was, what are your top recommendations to help a newbie set themselves up for success? And I love that question. And so I'm glad to answer that one here. And it's basically like, get involved, find a community, and just make friends. Here in cyber, it's not who you know necessarily that'll land you the job, but it does not hurt. But when it comes to education, it is absolutely who you know and who you're able to bounce ideas off of, and who you're able to ask for help. So that one was the one that I was like, I already got an answer for that. I'm ready to go. And it's basically like, just get involved wherever you can.
That's
and in no time you'll be.
That's a question I use in evaluation early in my career when people say, what are your strengths? I said, my strength is my network. If I don't know the answer, I know somebody that does, and it's just not going to cost me more than a 6-pack to get some help.
Yeah.
And a person that's absolutely an expert on building that community is Ray. She funds her own trips. She goes to these events. She meets new people. That seems to be a lost art. It seems as if your company's not sending you, or it's not a major event. My local ISSA chapter has some very good, every third Thursday of the month events, right? And you go there and you see these folks and you just learn. And I think that's been a lost art because of the pandemic, the remote working, where we are on that landscape. You got to get out and you got to shake hands and you got to get people to say, hey, let me show you something, or this is cool, or who are you? Everything can't be conveyed over this. It just will not. And so, one of the big things I'm looking for next year, and Ray's going to probably force us, we're going to do this show. We're going to start going to these other events and have people walk up to our booth and just, hey, sit down, tell us something. Who is super powerful. Absolutely.
But
I started. Oh, sorry. You go ahead, Ray.
No, Ange. This is your time, and I want to hear everything from you.
I truly started doing these speaking engagements because a gentleman named George Kamid invited me to do a podcast at Black Hat a couple years ago. And I was super nervous. Like, when it comes to imposter syndrome, I don't have it for everything. I have it for public speaking. And so I put myself and I say yes to these situations because I think it helps me out a little bit. But truly, it was meeting him on like Clubhouse during the pandemic and him inviting me to do the podcast that kind of started at least me being a little bit more public in doing these types of events. So when someone asks you to be involved with something like this, you say yes, because you end up with Edward as a friend, and Brody, if he's AI, still a friend.
Yeah. Depends on the day for Brody too. I think, to your point, Ange, like, you say yes. No. I meant, like, Edward said that I didn't have scruples. I was like, oh, it depends on the day.
Okay.
I was joking.
I'm generally nice to you, Ray. Generally nice to you.
But Ange, you're spot on. You say yes, and don't be afraid to fall flat on your face. That's okay. Just get up. And it's not just about building your professional network for, I need to be able to phone a friend, but getting out there and truly, like, immersing yourself in the concepts, the topics, all the materials that you're passionate about keeps you going. I think it staves off the not just the imposter syndrome, but like getting burnt out, right? I think it builds, adds little deposits in your, I can keep doing this. I have a little bit more resilience. I've gotten a little bit grittier, and maybe I didn't phrase something as expertly as I wanted to when I just approach a speaker after their presentation. But darn, I am so excited and I'm so appreciative. And now I get, to say I've met them. I have their contact information. And to your point, you can bounce ideas off of them. So always say yes and be fearless. And it's not just about what's my job today or my job tomorrow. It's like, not everybody is blessed to do what they are passionate to do,
But if you are in that position, just truly go for gold there and go all in and capitalize and maximize on all the value that's available. And, it sounds cheesy, but the friendships, right? The connections. Yeah. So
now, what's your legacy going to be, and who's going to be at your retirement party?
Right.
Because I don't know most people who are in cyber for the money. Most people are here for something different. They're here because something's driving them to do this type of hard work. So yeah, I mean, what's my legacy and who's coming? Who's showing up?
Yeah, I think I'm going to have my retirement roadshow starting next year. I'll have a retirement party every year.
Do it. I'll meet you in Cozumel, and then the year after that, we can do Alaska. I'm ready to go.
Alaska's very nice. Random marathon.
Ibiza, we can go to Ibiza. We can go where else? Well, where else can we go? Yes.
New Zealand. Let's go.
So to our listeners, as we get ready to close, we've talked about one thing that seems to be consistent when we're talking about getting into this industry, being observed as a subject matter expert. We keep hearing about this imposter syndrome. We all encounter it. I'll give you a personal how I overcame that early in my career. I would ask questions in front of people. When a presenter was done on a big stage and they asked, are there any questions, people would be reluctant to raise their hands. They don't ask the dumb question. My hand would go up. You said blah, 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 blah. I didn't care whether the experts here are like, oh man, everybody knows that. Well, everybody didn't, because I didn't, because I'm going to ask the question again. And I used to raise my hand all the time. And you'd be surprised if the presenter came back and say, hey man, you asked some good questions. What do you do for a living? Oh, I do this right here. I think you'd be good on our team, man. You should call this person and talk to them about it, right? And we sort of lose that these days, where nobody wants to raise their hand. Nobody wants to ask the question. I'm going to ask the question.
I'm going to ask them all.
Because the way my mind works, if I don't ask you then, I'm going to forget. I better ask. I'm going to forget it. But thank you so much for coming on the show. This is excellent. I highly advise our listeners who didn't listen to the show live, really pay attention to it when you download it. It's going to be good stuff. You hear it at the end. So we are continuing our theme month of, from passion to profession, and how do you get here and why do you stay here? And Anne's got everything right except for the end. I'm in it for the money. I like money.
Oh, are you? That's all right. It's good money too.
The only thing I like better than money is cash.
Hey, there's good money in it. There's good money in it.
Yeah.
One of our dogs just hopped up on me, and really and truthfully, I'm just doing all this so that I can afford rent for them, because they are not paying their own rent. So
there you go.
That's really what's going on. Is him right here. Yeah.
Well, everyone, we're back next Monday. Hopefully Rod will get over his case of the worms, and he will join us back on the show. Get better, Rod. And thanks so much for having you on. We'll definitely ping you out, get you the numbers. Brody, good to see you at your recovery, man.
Thanks.
You're almost back there.
Thanks, Edward.
Yeah.
Good to see you too.
All right.
And thanks for being on the show. Never mind.
Great to meet you, Brody.
Nice to meet you as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Ray, as well.
Thank you, Ange. You're awesome.
All right. Everybody have a good one.
Bye, y'all.